Πότε Ομόνοια μείνει στο Family.
Κάποιοι φωνάζουν ότι τελείωσε και έχει λήξει η Ομόνοια πρωταθλήτρια Κύπρου για την σεζόν 2020-2021. Για πρώτη φορά μετά τη σεζόν 2009-2010 πανηγυρίζει την κατάκτηση του πρωταθλήματος. 11 χρόνια μετά, 11 χρόνια πέρασαν από την τελευταία φορά που στέφθηκε πρωταθλήτρια η Ομόνοια. Πέρασαν 11 χρόνια, τα πλήστα πάρα πολύ δύσκολα, με πολλά οικονομικά προβλήματα.
Εκτελεί και κάνει το 1-1, θαυμάσιο γκολ.
Με την επιλογή του Γκανέζου η σέντρα, 2-0.
Ο Τεάκ θα περάσει μπάλα προς τα πίσω, ο Κούσουλος στο πλασέ, να το γκολ.
Η Βασίλισσα είναι στους ομίλους. Ακούστε το! Ακούστε το! Να της Ομονίας έφτιας τους δρόμους και βάρτους λιδωμένους στο σπίτι.
Απευθείας 2-1 η Ομόνοια με τον Κίκο. Στο 84 πλέον ο Γκόμεθ θα το πιάσει.
Δηλαδή του η σέντρα που έγινε ο Μανρίκεν.
Σέντρα καλή, κεφαλιά δοκάρι. Δεν θα γίνει ούτε το
Παπούλη που γύρισε για να μηνθεί, ο Βάγνερ θα σημειώσει το 2-1.
Ναι, ξέρεις.
Θα επαλαπίσω το σιούτ γκολ, ο Μπλούφνερ στο 38 λεπτό.
Ο Αλέσιαξ πρόλαβε, έκανε την σέντρα. Το σούτ του Τιάγο 1-1. Θα δούμε εδώ τον Αλέσιαξ στην περιοχή, το γύρισμα, η κόντρα για την
Εντυπωσιακό γκολ στο 52ο λεπτό, το τέταρτο του στο πρωτάθλημα. Ο Γιάννης για τον Λοΐζη τώρα, στο όριο της περιοχής ο Λοΐζη το σουτ, 1-1 η Ομόνοια.
Κρατάει μπάλα, ευκαιρία, το σουτ.
Ο Τσέβοβιτς έστειλε την μπάλα στα δίχτυα με υπέροχο τρόπο.
Μπαίνει πλάγια στην περιοχή, κάνει την παλιά, ο Τιάγκο το 1-0 για την Ομόνοια.
Τσέβοβιτς, το σούτ 1-1. Κερδίζει η Ομόνοια με τον Τζονί να μπαίνει στην περιοχή και να κάνει το 2-1.
Τέχος πέρασε πολύ καλή παλιά τον Τιάγο, το γύρισμα, έρχεται το γκολ από τον Παπουλή.
Όταν τους φέραν το χαρτί, δεν σκύψανε κεφάλι. Δεν απαντήθηκαν αρχές τον ίδιο το λαό. Μα η φωτιά τους γέννησε περήφανο φυρμάνι. Υψώθηκαν τα λάβαρα, βρήκανε ουρανό και τραγουδήσανε ένα οσολέ, ένα οσολέ, ένα οσολέ, για σε τρελαίνομαι. Ένα οσολέ, ένα οσολέ, ένα οσολέ.
Edo, welcome to another episode of the No Choftes podcast on the OLB. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like, tell your NOUNA. It's a season review, a famous review, shall I say, a famous season. Omonoia, the champions. I'm your host, Stel, also known as Stel on Instagram. I'm joined once again by Roy No Choftes. Hello there.
Hello, Stel. How are you, man?
But mate, I've been looking forward to doing this actual review for a couple of weeks now. Since the title was done and dusted, I was like, right, I can't wait to get started with it because we got Christo doing the graphics. We got who else? I forget the guy's name. Sorry, man, I forget his name.
George helped as well.
Sorry, George. I forgot your name. But yeah, George has been doing the graphics and they've been working their bollocks off, man. It's been brilliant. We're going to throw in some graphics during the episode itself. So yeah, we're going to try our best to keep you guys what's the word, statted up, statistically informed. There you go. Fuck it. And if that doesn't work, I just whack it on the edit. How about that?
And I'm amused. And
we don't do things professionally here, man. We try our best, but it doesn't seem to work. But yeah, man. So let's begin right at the beginning of the season. Matt left. We brought in a few players: Kiko, Duris,
Kalisene,
Foddy came in.
Yep.
And we got the season off to a flyer. We played Ararats in the Champions League qualifier. I'll never forget that game because I was in Blackpool for the weekend, and that was when Matt was packing up to leave to go to Australia. And I don't know if I told you this story. In fact, I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast. It was the day of the game, and Matt messaged me. He goes, "How can I watch the game?" I was like, "Well, there's a website that I go on, and you have to pay €10 or $9.99, and you get the game. It's pay-per-view." He goes, "Fine, so let me go on it." So he went on it, and it was all in Greek. Yeah. So he got me on the WhatsApp. He goes, "Mate, what do I have to do?" So I translated it all for me. He did it all. He did it once, paid nothing. Did it twice, paid nothing. Did it 3 times, paid nothing. You paid €30 for this fucking shit, which didn't work. Anyway, long and short of it is, I got it on mine, started watching it. We're messaging each other, no problems. And with 10 minutes of normal time to go, egopsen. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh, fucking hell, I'm thinking about Dubs now. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, mine cut out as well. Anyway, so fortunately, he came back, extra time. Thiago scored the winner. We got through to the next round. And that was the first step of a historic season, isn't it?
Yeah. It was indeed the first step of a historic season. What followed was amazing. You know, it's probably the best season in the history's club this far. And what makes it even bigger is, the fact that if you think about it, a couple of years ago, we went through a phase where the first year of Papastavru, actually, it was the worst season in the history's club, at least the modern history of this club. And to think that in 2 years, we ended up first last year and we won the championship officially this year. I think in my mind that it restores the normality that the history and the caliber of this club commands, because for many years we were, disappointed, frustrated. The financial problems gave birth to many other problems. 3 years ago, the ultras, Tirainya, decided to leave, and that killed me a little bit inside, to be honest, because they hoisted the colors high at times where the team weren't that good. And for me, that was the second most historic moment in the club's history. What happened with Papastavru coming in and going from a people's athletic club to becoming a
Ederia.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it killed me a little bit inside, but it is what it is.
But this is football. This is football. It happens to every team, man. And I'll tell you this now, yeah? Sorry to interrupt you. I used to have season ticket at Man United, and I stopped going 11 years ago. And I've been a few times to FC United, which is a breakaway club, which was formed by supporters who didn't want the Glazers. And I've been a few times. And in all fairness, man, they're having problems financially and they're arguing amongst themselves. They don't go to Man United anymore. And listen, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. I've got no problem with Tirainya either whatsoever. Someone said to me the other day, goes, what's your thought on it? I'm like, good luck to them. Let them be successful because their fans deserve to be happy. I don't have any problem with it. So yeah, I know, I get it. These are the core group of supporters who went week in, week out, home and away, that got the chance going, that understood the ethos and the DNA of the club. Yeah. But let's be 100% honest, man. The club was going down the shitter financially, and we got to thank Papastavru for coming in and bailing us out.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a big story, and maybe
of course, yeah. And there are many sides to that story, and we probably go on, but
it'd be interesting too. If you want, we can talk about this maybe some other time. But you know, the showstopper today is the season review and us being champions, and we don't want to do or say anything that's gonna ruin this. So as I was saying, it was a well-deserved. It restored the normality that we've been waiting for so many years. And I think that for the first time in many years, Omonia is the favorite starting the next season to be champions. And even though we're not light years ahead of our contenders, you know, I think if we play our cards right and take advantage of the dynamic and the momentum, but at the same time be confident but not arrogant, we can build a small dynasty in the years to come. But yeah, that's something for the future. As far as this year, you know, the season started off with a lot of pressure on us and the target on our head, especially the way the season ended last year. We said many times that we were victims of our own success. And even though last year there was no pressure on the team because, you know, we set the bar a bit lower, but realistically speaking, going top four and entering the European, you know, get a spot for a European opportunity, whether that be Champions League or Europa League, that was like a doable target. And we did a bit more than that. We ended up first. And so this year we had all the pressure. We had the Corona. Obviously, it wasn't just Omonia. It was for everyone, but, you know, playing so many games and juggling the different tournaments that we had to play. I think that at the end of the day, we were very professional. We had an identity. We were tactically disciplined. We had Henningberg written all over the team, and we got the job done. And I think we deserved it just a little bit more than any other team. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, so that's like an opening sort of statement on my behalf about the season. So yeah. Well, I'll let you lead the way now.
it was a month with 4 games. We had Ararats first, then Buffalo away, which we drew 2-2. There was a lot of changes, and that was the birth of No Choftes, wasn't it? That's where it all started for me, anyway. Doing the video before the game, and I'll never forget that. At half time, my mentions and my alerts were all over the fucking place. I was going to a restaurant and I was watching the game with my friend Peter, and he's all these alerts are coming out. He goes, "Ray, fucking put your phone on silent or turn the notifications off, man," because all of these videos were coming through. And I did one at full time, and that's effectively where No Choftes, where all of this started from, that video before the Buffalo game. And actually, I did the prank call to Abuel before the Ararat game, but you get what I'm saying. But then there was Legia Warsaw, the next round, which you won 2-0. A very, very stout performance, very solid defensively. We won the penalty from Duris, who his intelligence won us that penalty as far as I'm concerned, putting his foot in front of the defender, knowing the defender was going to be drawn out. Jordi put it away. And then Thiago scored the second, Ernest's assist on his debut. He came off the bench as we spoke to him on the podcast. And then came Garmiodisa, a 1-0 victory, which Kazoulo scored the winner. Now, things with that one, Roy, I want to talk about that one more than the other 3, obviously. We can talk about Legia, obviously, but I want to talk about Garmiodisa because that was the first time I did a solo podcast for the OLB on their Facebook page. And a lot of people were saying to me, "You've been papering over the cracks. You've been sugarcoating everything because you were too positive about that game." And my whole point was, this is a team that played the Legia Warsaw in midweek. They'd flown to Poland. They've come back. They've got the physical rigors. They've got the mental side of things to deal with. And there were a lot of changes in that Garmiodisa game. And yeah, fair enough, the performance wasn't great, but a win is a win as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, you and I, we've spoken about this on numerous occasions. Give me 1-0 every game, so long as we win. That's all I care about, winning. Winning ugly, winning pretty. Sikime. I am a gofti desera. Do you know what I mean? So that game, for me, was kind of like a starting point as to what we should have expected moving forward in terms of grinding out victories. That was the first sign, I'd say. Wouldn't you think so?
I'm not going to disagree with you 100% in the sense that, like I said in my introduction, the pressure was on. And obviously, the biggest target is entering a European stage is at the beginning of the season. And bearing in mind that this year you didn't have like the 2 legs, it was just 1 game. So the way you approach it is obviously a little bit, conservatively. You don't want to concede a goal because 1 goal might, change the balance a lot. And in my opinion, Mr. Berg tried to approach the European games in such a manner that made it difficult to adapt to the games in Cyprus. And even though it worked in Europe, I expected that it was a matter of time for the approach to change when it came to the games in Cyprus and have a little bit more of an assertive style of play, a little bit more of a attacking mentality, pushing lines up, being faster, being more unpredictable, being quicker on the transition and all that. But that took some time. Bearing in mind that, you said as well that Matt left, and we depended on Matt for like at least 3 out of the 4 years he was in the club. The attacking approach of the team was, surrounded around Matt. And when he left, and Akintola left as well, and Eric and Haris weren't playing as aggressively, and everyone had to take care of the defense, not attack. So I thought that it was a matter of time. Okay, that game with Karmiotis did show that we're gonna have some stressful wins. I do agree that at the end of the day, a win is a win, whether that be it ugly, whether it's 1-0, whether it's having possession, whether it's not having possession, whether you're dominating, whether you're not. At the end of the day, it's the win that counts. But yeah, sometimes you would like to see the team flex their muscle against some teams, put them up against the ropes, kill the games a bit faster, because that's also a statement. I'm not saying disrespect teams or whatever, but when you have the opportunity to play, better football, because last year I think we were still good defensively, but we were a little bit more unpredictable,
more potent up front, I think.
Even in creating chances, I don't know if we were more potent in scoring goals, but we created more. We were faster. We were more unpredictable.
I think, to be fair, I think we were more threatening on the counter attack last season.
Yeah,
because of the link up between Haris and Eric, and then obviously Dave came in and he did well. I remember Gaguli scored that goal at IL last season, wasn't it? The counter attack. That was a wonderful goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. And that's all right. So move on to September. August ended okay for us. 2 games, 4 points. We sat 4th in the table. IL were top. The Goddess 2nd, and AEK also. All 3 of them on 6 points. So Apollon were level points with us as well on 4. So yeah, September, quite a few games then. We started off with the Goddess away, a 1-1 draw. Galicene scoring a fantastic goal, man. When I saw it, I thought that's an own goal, but when you watch it again, it was a lovely turn, and he prodded it in. The Goddess got a penalty, which for me that's never a pen. And then Christoph is famous miss where we saw the kangaroo bouncing up and down in the Castiles, Then it was Cortina FC. Cortina FC, man, what a night. What a night that was. They bossed us, I'm not going to lie. The possession-wise, they were fantastic. I think we did very well to press high up the field, and we took them to extra time. But they looked quite leggy in extra time, and they'll get in a few players. I think it's 3 players that went down with cramp, and that's when I thought, if this goes to penalties, we're going to beat them and take it away, Maestro.
It's man. Like you said, we had the game there. The funny thing is that Anorthosis, if Anorthosis was waiting for a game, the whole season was to play against Omonia at home. And that was the game they were waiting more than any other game in the whole season, especially because of the way the season ended last year. They wanted to prove to us that who's boss and that they deserved to win the championship. And a few days later, we were playing the biggest game historically. I can remember, okay, we had the opportunity also with Dynamo a few years ago. But yeah, that game with Red Star, it was, again, very, very stressful because you knew that beating them, that meant that you're going to enter a European group stage, at least for the Europa League. And then we had the opportunity with Olympiago. And okay, I mean, Red Star didn't scare me. But okay, if there was a team that was favorite, even by, I don't know, 60-40, 65-35%, it was always going to be them, the team that's got more experience, they got more talent. It's Serbia is a country that, you know, exports a lot of talent on a very regular basis. Serbia generally, like as a country, and yeah, we did suffer at times with the possession, but we held on more comfortably. Like thinking about it now, it was, you know, at the moment you're a lot more stressed, but you know, when you look at the game, it's not as if, you know, it was unfair at the end of the game, or, you know, we deserved it, we wanted it more, we were more disciplined, we were more concentrated. And sometimes these are factors that can tilt the game towards one direction. And we were, I'm not going to use the word lucky to have Fabiano, because it's a blessing that we have him. You know, it's not luck. Nothing that Fabiano is doing is because of luck. It's not luck, or it's not fluky. And we won, and history was made for us. And it was fantastic. It was a fantastic feeling.
Yep. And that's one feeling that we will never forget, because the thing is, because all of these things happened in such a short space of time, you know, it was the season wasn't even a month and a half old, and all of a sudden all of these things are happening. But we'll take a step back quickly, because after the Anorthosis game, there's a little altercation with Foddy.
Yeah.
And he got was it 2-game ban? Was it 2 games?
3 games.
2 or 3 games. And Lako got involved with something or other and whatnot, and it did get messy. But we played AEK, beat them 2-1 at home, and we made so many changes. You know, Venizelos was playing. I think he was going to score the next day, wasn't he? And
yeah, most of them. It's school bus, I think. I think that game, the average age of the team was like 20, 21, because Kyriakidis was in goal, Venizelos, Haris, Loizos, Kaku, Sene, Hambos, Haralambos in midfield.
Yep.
So you're talking about kids that are 17, 18, 19, 20. So for me, that was a game that we made a statement, and it was a confidence boost for all these youngsters to believe that even though it was on an early stage, and we mentioned that, you know, we dropped points against Pafos away from home, again, with a lot of youngsters in the team. With Anorthosis, we had like the game versus Red Star a few days later. So we drew away from home again. And then you're playing against AEK, and you put 11, we rotated 11 players that game, Refile. And you win that game. That was, for me, one of the most important wins of the season. Not so much for the 3 points, but mostly, like I said, that it was a confidence boost for all these youngsters that proved that they can help and that we can count on them. And
we had Sava, Christo, and Ioannou on the bench, man. And then shirt numbers are like 82, 83, 79. Oh, it's amazing. But Kiko's goal at the end, man.
That was amazing.
Absolutely brilliant. But I'll tell you what, this is something I'm going to say, and I told you this before, and I said it in the podcast that I did. Johnny scored the goal, the opener, right? Ernest crossed the ball and Tonyo went to punch it. But Duris, bravo. What he did, basically checking the goalkeeper, blocking his vision. So the goalkeeper only had one thing to do, and that was punch the ball. He couldn't catch it because if he dropped it, Duris would have put it in. So Duris did enough to put the goalkeeper off, and he put it straight to Johnny's, and Johnny scored. This is what I'm saying. Duris didn't get enough credit. He won the penalty against. I'm not going to go through this again, man. I'm not going to do this again. But this is what I'm saying. Moving on swiftly. Kiko's finish was fantastic. It came out of literally nowhere, really. We were probing. We were plugging away. We were knocking at the door. But you know what? The celebrations at the end, those, again, I'll never forget that because everyone went absolutely potty, didn't they?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, to be the team, the dying minutes of a game, Refile, with a free kick, the way he scored it, and have youngsters playing against the team. That's the main characteristic of that team is the experience they have. It's something big, and it was also the enthusiasm of the whole atmosphere was. Because we had one red star as well, and then the youngsters did that as well, and we scored a goal, which we should add to the contenders for the best goal of the season. The goal Kiko scored.
Yep, 100%. 100%. There you go. All right, so September ended with us in the league, 5th in the table. 4 games played, 8 points. Apollon were top with AEK on 10 points. AEL's third on 9, on Olympiacos with 9 points, and the Godes were behind us on 7. Funny, the Godes only got 1 point in September. Oh, well. But we ended the month getting knocked out of the Champions League qualifier. Olympiacos 2-0 away from home, 0-0 at home. There's so much we can unpack about this one, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's not really worth it. But what I will say is that for 70 minutes, we held them, we limited them to shots from outside the box. A debatable penalty decision was given to them. And then afterwards, Loizo showed a little bit of an experience, dwelling on the ball too much on the edge of the box. And El Arabi, you don't give him that space. You don't give, he's got fancy footwork, put it in the bottom corner. Game was over. But what I will say about the second leg there, Roy, and I'm sure you and I have spoken about this before, Eric was brought down, but I think it was Semedo. I think. Semedo, was it?
Oi, or Ba.
18th minute, 2-footed, penalty all day long, nothing given. Now, if that's given and we score, it's game on. It's all about what ifs, buts, and maybes. If my Thea had Drogo, she'd be a Bodilado. But anyway, end of the day, it's done. It did hurt us, but at the same time, guaranteed Europa League. So happy days anyway, still in Europe. Not a disappointing month, really, was it?
No, okay. You have to bear in mind that this was all new to us, and something we should never forget. And even though it's something that almost all teams had to face, was the fact that there was the COVID outbreak. Other than all the other factors that you have to bear in mind, traveling must have been very stressful for the players. Going through the tests and all of that, and it took a toll on the players mentally and physically and all of that. So yeah, you can't be unhappy about what we achieved up until that point, And during the podcast, even though we started together our podcast, I think it was a game against Dachna when we beat them 2-0. That was the first time we did the podcast as a duo. It's easier now that we're doing a season review, and it's a bit more general, not to be as strict. Because you remember when we were talking after some games and you isolate a game, then you can obviously find a lot more things you can point out. Yeah. But now, as generally, we're talking about you start the introduction saying the best season of the club's history this far, you can't say something different, to change it. So whatever we do say, it's still going to be the best season we had, at least in the modern history, but maybe in the club's history, because, we won the Πρωτάθλημα και μπήκαμε και ομίλους της Ευρώπης. So, yeah, I mean, some months were better than others. Some games might have been, like we said, a bit uglier, a bit, more professional, a bit lucky, whatnot. But all in all, okay. If we look at the season till the end, είμαστε η πιο σταθερή ομάδα, ρε φίλε. Με εξαίρεση τον Οκτώβρη-Νιόβρη που κάναμε 5 παιχνίδια, νομίζω ότι σε γενικές γραμμές ήμασταν η πιο σταθερή ομάδα. Χωρίς καμπανεβάσματα, ξέρεις, a straight line.
Exactly. We didn't flatline though. But look, I'm glad you mentioned October, because this gives me an opportunity to bring in Charlie Mitchell, special guest. Here he is. Charlie, how you doing?
Good, mate. How you doing, mate? Good to see you.
All good, mate. Long time no speak. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. I'm good. Nice to be finally getting onto this.
Here you go. Now, Bethia, for those of you who don't know, this is Charlie Mitchell. He was performance analyst at FC Pafos up until October, was it, or November?
November, end of November, yeah.
End of November. Here you go. And Charlie's joining us in this season review. This is the first time you've met Roy, isn't it, Charlie? So there you go.
Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Nice to meet you, mate. You okay?
Yeah, fine. Thank you very much. Thanks for jumping on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
We were just about to discuss October, Charlie, which was probably the end of October was probably the worst part of the season for us. We started the month pretty well. We beat AEL 3-0 in a game where they had a few chances, AEL, but once we took the lead, there was no stopping us. Then we beat Nicosia 2-1 away from home. Then it was the Europa League. We drew 1-0 against Bark, and we thought, okay, fair enough, let's just kick on from that. But we drew 0-0 against Nicosia, a penalty miss from Jordi. I remember I was in Cyprus at the time. And then we lost 2-1 to PSV Eindhoven. Now, obviously, you were at Pafos. You saw us at the beginning of the season. You faced us last season. When you went into that first game of the season, how did you prepare for that game against us, knowing that we had Champions League exploits? Do you remember?
Yeah, very clearly, because your pre-season started before ours, and in terms of prepping for the European game. So in terms of, it was good from my point of view, from depth of information, because we had a lot of games on you guys to watch. But the difficulty was that you were already hitting your stride in terms of, you had the European games, but then it also chucked up the idea of, okay, does any rest players for our game to prioritise the European game, which I think was the Thursday that week as well, actually. So, it was really hard to see what kind of game plan he was going to go with against us. But, he stuck to what he knew, which was good, because it made the game a lot more entertaining. It was a great game, I thought. It was one of the better ones I enjoyed when I was there, and to be honest with you. It's particularly a period I remember from Omonoia after half-time. It was 15, 20 minutes where I thought, oof, we could be in trouble here. It was the way they just, you showed a glimpse of what, where it actually became consistent later on in the season, where it was constant, if that makes sense. That purple patch that you hit, particularly after Christmas.
Were there any standout players that you guys were kind of targeting? Because I remember Eric scored a brace. He scored a free kick and a penalty, but Loizo had a fantastic game. And Fabi obviously conceded the penalty in the opening minute, so that gave you guys the lead. I think he brought down Vi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I remember. But were there any players that you kind of singled out at the time?
No, as I said, 'cause it was difficult because we didn't know what 11 you'd go with, if that makes sense. So, we knew that on the Thursday you had full strength, would say at the time, was full strength. But then I think on the day, there was the emergence of a couple of your younger players, which one caught us by surprise. If you'd look at a team sheet, go, okay, a couple of youngsters in, good chance for us to maybe get one here, 3 points wise. But then, the youngsters actually performed really, really well on the day. And obviously Eric was very, very good that day. And I think Eric, was probably someone that you would look at as an individual and say, we need to watch carefully. But there were definitely, Lufner again, not just from a defensive point of view, but set pieces as a threat. So things like that you need to consider as well. And again, we didn't know what centre half pairing you'd go with. We didn't know who had started left back, because Kiko played the game, I think.
Yeah, that's right, because he nutmegged. Who did he nutmeg? he did that little back heel nutmeg, didn't he? Soul snatcher. That's why I started calling him that. Took the guy's soul, mate. I don't think the player's been the same since he's done that.
Yeah, and he had a solid game, you know, and it was his first Cypriot first division game, wasn't it? I think so. It's solid performance from both sides. I thought it could be a good one for us, a marker point to go forward. And as I said, I referred to that 15-minute period after half time specifically, because I thought first half we probably had the game controlled. You showed glimpses, but then after half time you were in your stride, and it obviously came out in a very entertaining game in the end. But obviously referring more onto October, I think the effect of Europe was starting to have its effect on the side then, wasn't it? I thought that, you know, against where things that I think teams in this league would struggle with is the squad depth situation, obviously trying to play your best 11 consistently, the run of fixtures you had in that month as well, that, you know, it's very easy to say from the outside, oh, we can rest players for this game. I think it's very hard to do that in Cyprus. Squad rotation is very difficult because games don't just come thick and fast, but it's more the fact that any game can surprise you on its day. And it just takes I think, it takes anything really just to kind of nick a result, which can happen. So obviously it was a difficult period probably in the season, but they got over that. And
well, this is it, mate, because from the 18th, I think it was the 18th of October, I've got it here. From the 18th of October to the 29th of October, we had 4 games, and that included traveling to PAOK, Thessaloniki, and playing PSV Eindhoven at home. So, of course, it's going to take its toll on the players. And I remember speaking to Michael Lufner after the PSV Eindhoven game, and I said to him, you guys just ran out of steam. If you had the same stamina levels as PSV Eindhoven, you'd have beaten them, because the 2 mistakes that were made that led to both of PSV's goals were at the end of either half. So in the 47th minute and the 91st.
Yeah, I think, again, not to be disrespectful to anyone in this league and our league itself, but if you looked at the PSV Eindhoven squad, it would definitely be, my guess would be it'd be larger than Pneumonia's at the time in terms of rotation. And also the importance played on that game as well. So obviously having to travel to these places where they've probably got an advantageous stage in the group, obviously chasing the group to try and get points if you want to stay in Europe. And then obviously coming back now to try and retain where you are in the league. Difficult situation physically, but also mentally. But as you say, since that period ended, that strength of character kind of showed, I think, from that, that core group that you've got in your squad.
Absolutely. And Roy, end of October, we were 5th in the table, 5 points behind Apollon. And that's practically when the rut kind of started. We drew against PAOK, we drew against Enosis, as I mentioned, lost to PSV, lost to Olympiacos, the first game in November. Then we lost to Granada 2-0 in a game which, all right, Granada were absolutely fantastic on the ball. They moved it very quick. They gave us a lot of problems. We drew 0-0 against Doxa, and that's when the real criticism for Duris came, when he missed that opportunity. I remember it was Gusulo's header hit the post, and it fell straight to Duris, and he hit it straight at the goalkeeper. He could have hit it anywhere, but he hit it straight at the keeper. And that's when everyone started getting on his back. And then we lost to Salamis, where again, at a goal down, I think, was it 0-0, where Duris turned the 2 defenders and he hit it straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Was it 1-0 at the time, or was it 0-0? I can't remember.
I can't remember, but yeah, I think it might have been, I don't know.
He missed that chance. We lost that 1-2-1 when Wagner scored the winner. Then we went to Granada and we played very well, but we lost 2-1. And then Hermes, 0-0 draw when we should have had 2 penalties. So, yeah, out of all those games, no wins, struggling. We thought, what's going on? Even I was saying, is there a problem in the background? Is there an issue with the players? Has the boss lost the training room? I didn't know at the time. People were messaging me saying, what's going on? I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. All I could say was fatigue, confidence. Those are the only 2 things I could put it down to. Do you remember that time?
Yeah, I do remember that time, and it was also closer to the time when you were, up until that point, we started talking to each other, like texting each other and sending messages. We didn't start the podcast together. And in fairness, what we witnessed at that time was extreme, because like we said, you ended the season last year first, you enter the European group stages, And then it wasn't just the fact that we weren't winning the games. We weren't creating. We scored just 1 goal in 5 games. And what we said yesterday, obviously we didn't know it back then, but 3 out of the teams got relegated. And no disrespect to these teams. If you want to be called a big team and you want to compete for the title, and that's what I said in the introduction as well, that sometimes I want to see the team be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more, have an attacking spirit in the game. But on the other hand, yeah, it was extreme. It was extreme, and you couldn't, explain it. It was difficult to explain. You couldn't, point a finger and say, oh, is it because you start doubting? Is it the quality of the players? Are they tired? Is it, the other teams, want to beat the team that's first, but why aren't we creating? What if we did this? What if you did that? And obviously, like it in Cyprus, Charlie will know it as well. There's no patience. There's no patience. And that's when people started, murmuring and putting on the pressure. And, but yeah, like I said, talking to you and that's what made me want to make the podcast with you is the English mentality you brought to the perspective of things. You saw it with a different lens. You're saying, okay, instead of, shitting all over this team, remember what they've done, stand behind the players, give them the time. We've tried changing a lot of managers throughout the years, a lot of players. The potential's there. We saw it. Okay, some players need to step up. And sure enough, after that game with Hermes, we had a game which was pivotal. It was the game against Apoel. We beat them, and then it was 20 or 21 games over an unbeaten run. So, yeah, I mean, Charlie will know better than any of us because he's professional as well. But, I'm interested to hear what Charlie thinks about the whole situation back then because it was extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I've just pulled something up in front of me now. So in terms of last season, players used, Omonia were the 3rd bottom team in that category. So they used 26.
Wow.
26.
3rd bottom?
Yeah, 26 players they used.
Bloody hell. Who used the most then?
Hermes. And then Apoel.
Oh, right, okay. Right.
But they used 26 players. So, I think one thing to take into account, I totally get the mentality point of view. And I think sometimes if you look at what I've just pulled up there, if you're throwing someone from tough game in the league into Europa League, tough game in Europa League back into the league, that does take its toll eventually you're just constantly throwing people back in the fire. And it's tough to go with it and keep going. But then again, we refer to people that they have around them in that squad that pull it together and again, push forward. I think that's something that probably is a driving force within the dressing room. I don't know too well, but I guess that there's definitely some leaders in the dressing room that are able to pull everyone together, not just the manager, not just the coaching staff. Obviously, supporters rally together to get us through this period as well. But obviously, there's key individuals in that dressing room that do pull the younger ones together. Maybe could be a younger one that maybe step up, I don't know, but maybe some younger ones at the time think, bloody hell, this is tough. They're going through Europe League in a difficult period, but they've been pulled together and they push forward. So I think as a mentality point of view there as well.
Oh, I agree. And I remember doing a solo podcast before Roy got involved, and I said players need to step up or step out because the performances were unacceptable. There are a lot of youngsters at the club who it's almost as if they felt that they got a free pass because they were academy players, and they felt, well, I'm not going to get too much stick because I'm still young and I'm part of the club's DNA. And I just went off on one. And I remember a player, I'm not going to mention who it is, but he said to me, certain players were laughing after the Olympiacos defeat in the league. We lost 1-0 away at the Magario. And I was like, I'm not fucking having this. So I just went off on one. as I so famously did. And then, as Roy said, we beat Apoel, but before that, we beat Bark at home in the Europa League. And for me, I think that was the turning point, because while Bark had a few chances, we ground out a win. We ground it out. And even though we knew we weren't going to go through, we ground it out And that's when the momentum started. And Roy, don't forget, we had Fabi out with COVID. Lufner was out with COVID. Duris was out with COVID at one point. Who else had COVID during that stretch?
No, it was them three at that point.
Eric ruptured. Eric got a thigh injury against Granada, so he was out for months.
Yeah.
So we were down to the bare bones. And then we played the Lastihagia, and we gave them a pounding. We tore them a new one. Absolutely tore them a new one. How many years was it, Roy, without beating them?
7, 8.
And the last time we beat them was 3-0 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was some game, wasn't it? Some performance.
Yeah,
they stood up Little County, mate.
Listen, man, it's all good and nice for statistical reasons, but for me, no matter who it was that game, I didn't care. I just wanted us to win, and for that win to matter, we should have gone on an unbeaten run, and it's something we did. Obviously, beating up well, after 7 years, convincingly so, and it was at a point where, like we said, we went on in a 5-game stretch of not winning, not creating, scoring just 1 goal. And up well with Mick McCarthy, I think they had won Doxa and then Salamina comfortably. So they stepped into the game with a little bit more better psychology. But then after we beat them, I think
The wheels came off, mate.
Yeah,
we took the wheels off.
They inherited our problems at the time. Because I've always, this year they didn't seem like they'll be able to do much, but I think that game against us just sort of made it clear beyond no doubt that they're not going anywhere. But like I said, for me, okay, happy to beat them all. It's always nice to beat your arch rival, and especially with the 3-0. But at that point, all I cared was for the team to start winning games, and I would have been equally happy no matter who it was, and that was more important for me from rather than a statistical point of view that it was 7 years. So at the end of the day, I was looking in Cyprus. We say you're looking at the tree, not the forest.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Charlie, you guys faced Abo. You beat them 1-0. That was one of the final games. In fact, I think that was Cameron's last game in charge, wasn't it? Yeah. You beat them 1-0 away from home with 10 men, mind. How did you approach that game? Because obviously Abo, as Roy said, aren't the same team or weren't the same team. I'm sure you smelt blood, no?
Well, they still had players that could cause you a lot of problems that are renowned, decent quality players. Obviously, they made a couple of additions as well in the summer that we thought that would kind of grasp the league quite quickly, but for one reason or another, they didn't. But in terms of going into those games, you kind of enjoy going into these types of games because you know that it's an opportunity to try and beat someone like Applewell. Obviously means a lot in terms of the history of obviously the games against these types of teams in Cyprus. But yeah, I agree. In terms of on the form they were on, we did smell blood, and it was a good performance. It was very complete in terms of the fact actually we went down to 10 men and we ground it out. But the thing is, when we went down to 10 men, we even looked like even the better side of starting to look like the one that was going to go and score a goal. They didn't really threaten, to be honest with you. So I was quite surprised a team that was set out to be so attackingly intent was very placid. So it's quite interesting how that occurred, and obviously for one reason or another the wheels did come off, as you say, in terms of this season. So it's we were really happy in terms of the general performance levels against teams like that in the time that we were there. I think the biggest issue for us is the performances against the lower opposition, which obviously you faced a similar period of time, but obviously you got through that period. So
yep, thank goodness. And going into December, end of November, we were 9 points behind Anorthosi. We were 6th. They were top on 26 points. We had 17. They played the game more. But by the end of December, we closed the gap to 4 points with some fantastic results, fantastic performances, as Roy mentioned. We lost 4-0 to PSV Eindhoven in the Europa League, but we were out already. And in fact, that was during the time when the guys found out about the COVID situation, wasn't it? Because Arbor played players that had COVID, and then we played PSV Eindhoven with players that had COVID. And then, Buffalo came to town, and 2 goals from Johnny's gave us the win. The second one, his second goal was a poacher's finish. Got it, dug it from under his feet and put it in the back of the net. Then we played Garmiodisa and gave him a pounding, which was lovely. Thiago scoring a fantastic volley. Then we beat the Goddess 3-0, which was, again, a wonderful performance. We absolutely played them off the park. They had nothing. And that was it, Roy. We were 4 points behind the Goddess. Sorry, behind the Bollon. What am I talking about? We were 4 points behind the Bollon at the end of December. Very good month for us. When you saw those results, Roy, beating Unorthodoxy the way that we beat them, the way that we went to Garmiodisa and gave them a hammering, the way that we ground out a victory against Buffalo, me personally, I was thinking, right, we're going to win this now. That's when I first started saying, now you're going to believe us. I know it was January, but that's when I said, we're going to fucking win this, man. What were you thinking?
Okay, so in our introduction, I mentioned that because of the consecutive games we had to play and the European games of that matter, which were finals, because it wasn't 2 legs, it was just 1 leg, we approached the beginning of the season with a very cautious, conservative sort of mentality. And I would have liked for the team to be able to adapt to the Cypriot League differently, which obviously is, I can understand that is something that's not very easy to be done, like traveling, having a game on Thursday, coming back on a Friday, and then basically just have Saturday to train and then a game on Sunday. So you can't really change much. But up until at that point, it was over with Europe, basically. So we knew that we had to concentrate in the league for a counter-attack. And at that point, I think we also changed formation. We went from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-4-2. We changed Ernest's position. We put him on the side. It wasn't like a classic 4-4-2, but like Ernest was on the flanks and he was trying to find the pockets of space. Chepa came in, and a lot of attacking midfielders started, playing more in the comfort zone, because they were asked to defend more than they normally did in the games of Europe and the initial stages of the league. And then I think once they started, they started having a bit more fun. They're like, go play. It's not just tactics, just go play and do your thing. And we have some experienced players. Fodi played really well. Ernest played really well, and Thiago, who suffered a lot, he played really well. So we showed glimpses of what we could do, and people, started trusting the team a bit more. That's what happened, I think, because defensively we were really good. The doubt was if we had the quality to create more chances and be effective. And for most of these games, we did both. We created more, but we were also effective, because some results were a bit misleading, like beating Unorthodoxy 3-0 and AEK 3-0. With AEK, it was 3 chances, 3 goals. So, and the first 20 minutes, I think they played better than us, if I'm not mistaken. They hit the bar, was it? And Fabi had to save.
Bar, yeah.
So, just if you listen to the score, if you just read the score, you think, wow, it was, convincing, and, they held them up against the ropes, but we were just effective. And obviously it was a confidence boost as well for the players up until that point, were through a lot of pressure. And they started, I think, enjoying themselves, playing a little bit, differently, not with all the musts, I'm not saying that, it was anarchy, but, they were enjoying, it seemed, you could see their faces that they were enjoying the football, and their confidence levels were higher than before. And yeah, of course, when you narrow the gap and you're just 4 points behind, that there's still a lot of games to be played. And I'm not going to say that I was confident that we're going to win it, but I was confident that we can compete till the end. Yeah.
You're right, man. And I'll tell you what, Charlie, January was a fantastic month for us. We went to Ajax, as Roy mentioned, we beat them 3-0. Granted, Ajax had the majority of the chances at the beginning, but once we went a goal up, their confidence was absolutely shot. And that's what we've been saying to Roy for a while. You know, whenever we go ahead against teams, it's almost as if their confidence just drops. But then we beat Apollon 2-1 in what was a pivotal result for us. Thiago scoring a fantastic goal against the run of play, albeit Lejak scoring the winner. We went to IL and got a draw, which, to be fair, I think it had to be held on. Obviously we held on, we would have won the game, but I think their goal was a bit fortuitous. It was like pinball, and then Maya got the equaliser. And then more results came. We drew against Apollon, if I'm not mistaken, Roy. Was it 0-0?
Yeah.
0-0 against Apollon. Beat Ethnikos 2-0. Was that when we first started doing the podcast?
Yeah.
Was that the 2 own goals?
Yeah, the 2 own goals.
Two own goals. Then we beat Paralimni 1-0 away from home with Shepard scoring the winner, which is a very vital goal for us. And then Olympiacos, the 1-1 draw at home, which we felt a little bit deflated. So yeah, Charlie, lots happening in January. We ended the month 2nd place, 3 points behind Apollon.
Yeah, the shackles came off, didn't they? I think, just refer to what Roy said. I was just looking back again until the 26th match day. I think it was 13 goals conceded, only 2 losses. So, you're never really doing much to lose games, but you weren't doing enough to kill games, which was, clear to see in what we've just spoken about as well. And again, once those shackles came off, January is always a crucial time as well. And I think one thing that could have happened is that you could have gone mental in January and brought loads of players in to go try and fix a problem that probably wasn't really there. It was just something that needed a bit of persistence and maybe 1 or 2 changes in character, which you brought in. You obviously brought a goal. Someone has brought in and scored a couple of important goals towards your title challenge again. And I think this is just where now that momentum shifted another gear. I think you've shifted. You start to shift into the top gears now, and this kind of was I'd say this month was probably the catalyst for what the remaining months of the season, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it was a fantastic run of form. And in fact, from then till the end of the season was a fantastic run of form. But the thing is, Charlie, at the beginning of the season, the one complaint I had was that we weren't taking our chances. We were creating them, but we just couldn't put them away. And then when we went through that barren spell, when we lost at Salamina, when we drew these games, I was still saying we were creating chances. I think it was only maybe the Paralimni game where we didn't really create too much. I think we had that penalty when Yordi missed, but apart from that, we didn't really do too much. But all the other games, we were creating the opportunities, but we just couldn't find the back of the net. And people will say, yeah, well, Matt Derbyshire would have put those chances away. He probably would have done, but Matt's not here anymore. So when Shepard came in, we thought, okay, we don't really know too much about him. We know that he played at Vidi with Henningberg. He had a stint in Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was it Malaysia, or I don't know where it was, Roy. But it was a Far East somewhere. Was it Malaysia? Thailand?
I think
somewhere there. Great food. I don't know. He came to Cyprus, and it's almost as if he hit the ground running. He started scoring some vital goals as he scored the winner. And later on, as the season progressed, we were creating opportunities, and he was there. He was the man. But one thing I will say, which I'm sure Roy has mentioned already, Charlie, Thiago, big game player. The goals that he scored at pivotal moments, at crucial moments. So we're not just talking about tap-ins here. These were great finishes. What did you make of him?
Very good player. Very good player. He's someone, again, that we refer to in probably, we were talking about the pre-match preparation that we spoke about at the beginning, that Thiago is a very, very clever individual. I think very, very well utilised as well by Henning. I think what I do like about him, to be fair, not just his ability, obviously, to pop up with important goals, as we just mentioned, but I think he's just a very clever footballer in terms of just his awareness of what's going on around him in and out of possession, more so in possession. And that's why his chance creation, his goal scoring ability is really, really good for me. And he's probably one of the better, probably the best. Probably I'd say I'd arguably go the best player in that in his role within the league, to be honest with you.
Brilliant. Well, Charlie, mate, I know you've been pressed for time, and thank you very much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we can get you back on and we can talk about your experiences in Cyprus. They were eye-opening, eye-watering.
Yeah, the price of halloumi, as we said, alpha mega.
Well, listen, if you need some, let me know. I'll send some over to you, man. Don't worry. Cheers, mate. Look, have a lovely evening, and we'll catch up soon.
That's one. Good to see you both. Thank you.
Cheers,
Take
mate.
care.
All the best.
All the best, mate. All the best.
Bye. There we go. What a nice guy.
guy.
Lovely
nice
guy,
guy.
man. Lovely guy. Right, let's go to February. Februaris. Yeah. Right. 3-0 at Doxa, 2-0 at home against Salamis, 2-0 against Hermes, and we finished the campaign with a 1-0 victory over Apoel. We blitzed the three teams that I mentioned prior. Doxa didn't know what was coming, did they? We absolutely gave them butsus. And then Salamis, 2 goals from Shepa. One of them, I think, well, both were assisted by Lejax, but I'm still pretty sure he hit the ball in the ground.
Was it? And then με τον Ερμήν που έβαλε δυο τσέπαρε? Or was it with Salamina? Salamina. I remember when we interviewed him, he was talking about a game where we scored 2 goals. It's like, was it with Hermí? Never mind. It's something that just came to my mind.
Hermes, it was away from home. He scored the header. When Lejax crossed and he headed it, we were in the white kit, I think. And then the Salamis one was on the right hand side when Lejax put the ball in the box, and one he hit in the ground and it bounced up and he headed it in.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it was. I feel that the regular season we finished off, the way we should. We always said that if we want to stand a chance, we want to be as close to the top places there. And it was a carbon copy of almost all the games after the Apoel game. Maybe a little bit different for some games, obviously, when we won a bit more. I'm not going to say comfortably, but we were more effective, like I mentioned earlier. Beating Ararats, ΑΕΚ, Apoel 3-0, Μπέντερα Μεγκανιώτισσα. Άλλαξε λίγο η εικόνα, but that was, η εξαίρεση. It wasn't the rule, And η εικόνα της ομάδας ήταν, it was always careful, cautious at the back, and we knew that, like you said, if we score a goal, which most of the times we did, we're not going to concede 2 goals. So we knew for a fact that we weren't going to lose the game. It was difficult to lose a game. Maybe not easy to win it, but at the same time, very difficult to lose a game. And saying that, we ξεκινήσαμε the playoffs, which we agreed that every single game was going to be a final. Every single game till the end. Every game was 6 points.
And we also agreed that this was ours to lose.
Yeah, but that we said from the beginning of the podcast when we started doing the podcast together. That κάθε φορά ελαούσαμε το πράγμα. It's for us to lose, and it was proven right in the sense that if we did lose it, it was going to be up to them. I don't want to take something away from Apollon and IL because they have been outstanding and very good contenders, very interesting πρωτάθλημα, competitive πρωτάθλημα for that matter. But like I said in the introduction, I think we deserved it a little bit more. We're not light years ahead from them, but we can if we take advantage of the momentum. But anyway, just jumping back and forth.
Yeah.
We ended the regular season with a win against Apoel, 1-0.
Yep.
And then
top by a point going into the playoffs.
Yeah. And the playoffs were always going to be dangerous, especially AEK and Olympiacos, the teams that, it seemed at that point that they can't do something more than the 5th and 6th position. So it's always the games you have to be a little bit more careful once you play against them. But then we also have the Kibello. Did we play?
We played Apoel after Anorthosi, the second leg. The second leg with Apoel was after Anorthosi because we beat Olympiacos 1-0. when Gusu scored that rocket.
Yeah.
Then we played Nicosia at home. It was 0-0. And we were saying, what the hell's going on? Like the lethargy is back. It looks like they're back to their old bad habits. And then we lost to Upwell, which obviously we did that podcast and upset a few people. And then we beat IL 2-1. Another important victory. Went a goal behind very early, but then Loizo with the Walla goal, as we called it, drop of the shoulder, puts in the back of the net, and then Shepard's penalty, and then we found out why he was pointing at Vozinha. Yeah. That was a massive, massive win in the grand scheme of things, man. I mean, to be honest, I can't exactly pick out one game to say that was the one. You know, when you see teams that win titles, you think there's one game that was a turning point. I can't pick out one of them because there are so many moments in this season where we scored goals out of nowhere. And you could say that that changed the course of the title. But when you look at let's look at the first half of this playoffs, right? Because we beat Olympiacos, as I mentioned, we drew with Nicosia. Then we beat IL. We beat AEK 1-0 at home, a game which we had no right in winning. No, and remember, we did that podcast. We're like, how yeah, bravo.
The back of the Irish.
Back of the Irish, yeah. How we won it, I don't know. I don't care. We won it. And then we went to Apollon, a game where it had 0-0 written all over it. We were in control. We were hardly threatened. And then one moment of madness from Huberchan, we're down to 10 men. And Ben Shop scores in injury time. And you're thinking, we're in a bit of trouble, but it's still ours to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. I mean, because this is a bit more, you know, current, a bit more, you know, it's not long ago.
So fresh.
A bit more fresh, you know. So for anyone who watched the podcast, you know, they know what our opinion is. But yeah, I agree 100%. But, you know, it was at that point where some people started treating us as if we were third. We were still first. And, you know, and the ways like the some of the media and the press and even some of our own fans, you know, they're like, oh, let's famine, what we're going to do, blah, 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 murmurcon, cochakares, calaves. And I remember I went off on one. Was it that game against Apollon when I got pissed off and I was like, it's not the time. There's like 5 more games. Just shut the fuck up. Stand behind the player. Stand behind.
That's right. Yeah. Because we all had the Instagram messages, didn't we? You know, do the stay. This one's to blame. The manager, this and that, and yeah, you just went, shut up, man, shut up. We're still in with a shout at the title. It's still ours to lose. The points are still there.
We were first. Yeah. So yeah, and okay. And it turned out to be okay. I'm not saying, oh, I said so, but you know, we couldn't do anything at that point. Or, you know, just bitching about shit, you know, wasn't going to help anything towards the short of us winning the title. But yeah, it was what it was. You know, it is what it is. We conceded that goal against Apollon injury time, stoppage time, bench shop. And yeah, it was the momentum, the psychology. You know, Apollon might have believed that this time is their time. Because they weren't competing against Apoel, they were competing against Omonia, and Omonia didn't have the experience of Apoel had in previous years. And yeah, so then after that game against Apollon, it was what game? Remind me the game after we lost Apollon.
After Apollon, we faced where is it? Olympiacos beat them 2-0 when Shepard scored the free kick, and then. Johnny scored. That's my doorbell. When Johnny scored on the counter attack, yeah, another performance which, to be honest, I expected more from Olympiacos. And I think we were saying that we were a little bit disappointed with Olympiacos' approach to the game. But listen, a win is a win, and we got the points, and that set us up really nicely to play the Goddess away from home. A big performance, a big victory. And in fact, the Olympiacos one was when Ernest did his cruciate, which put him out for the end of the season, and that's why Shepard raised his shirt after beating after scoring against Nicosia.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Again, it was Thiago who scored and I scored, and then Shepard scored maybe 2.
So The next game, AEL at home. We go a goal behind from Maier. Eric equalizes with a fantastic volley. And Johnny's, as he did so many times this season, last minute, bailed us out with a fantastic winner. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. When we spoke on the phone earlier, I told you, in my mind, that game was very important in the sense that even if we drew that game, we still would have kept the advantage going on to the final against Apollon. Obviously, we had the game against Dijk before we faced Apollon, but, everyone thought that it was going to be decided at the last game of the season against Apollon in Gasipi. And whether we won AEL or drew, we still would have kept our advantage if we both beat our opponents. We beat AEK and Apollon beat Olympiacos. But see what that goal did? I think it just gave us more than the 3 points of the victory. Because if you see how the team celebrated that goal, they really wanted it. And we witnessed it, against Style when we conceded a goal at stoppage time, and Apollon. It was a confidence boost, and for us, I think in a similar manner, it was a confidence boost for the remaining 2 games. And we got more than we bargained in the next game, because the next game was against Dijk, and Apollon was playing Olympiaco.
Do you think Johnny's winner against AEL was like the body blow that put Apollon out of the title race in terms of a psychological thing? Because, I always call them the Gurabiedes, they crumble under pressure. And granted, we played AEK the next game, which obviously we're going to discuss, and they had to play Olympiacos. Now, Olympiacos going for a final, they had nothing really to play for. But yet when it mattered, when Apollon needed to get the victory, they didn't. So do you think Johnny's goal, the winner against AEL, really, really dented their title hopes, dented their confidence?
It definitely did affect them. But it was mostly, when I spoke about the psychological part of things, it was dual. Like it was a confidence boost for us and obviously for them. But like I said, it didn't really matter, because it wasn't as if we were losing the game and then we won it. We drew. So we still would have kept the advantage to play for 2 results against Apollon. But most definitely, that winner, stoppage time, the way it came, did put on a lot more pressure on Apollon, I believe. I can't say for a fact that, that was, the death blow to Apollon's body, but, they should have done better against Olympiacos, even though I rate Olympiacos as one of the better teams this season. I think that they were the 3rd or 4th, team. Μαζί με την Ομόνια, την ΑΕΛ, τον Απόλλωνα, ήταν Olympiacos. And personally, they're the team that got the most respect out of me, because they're the team that gave us more trouble than any other team this season. Like they beat us once, we drew once, and we were lucky that we drew. Okay, the other 2 games, we were better when we deserved to win. But they're a really good team, really good players. As you can see, like most of the players are targets for bigger teams. So yeah, Olympiacos is a good team. But yeah, no one really expected Olympiacos to να κάνει ζημιά του Απόλλωνα. Everyone, I think, were just thinking, it's going to be ο τελικός πρωταθλήματος. Το Ομόνοια Απόλλωνας μες στο Gasipi. And it happened, and that sort of shocked us. It even shocked us as Omonia fans, because we're like, we won it. This is it. It's finished. Am I happy? You remember that shitty podcast we did after that?
What the fuck is going on? Because we went into that game against AEK thinking, all right, and well, we need to prepare for the worst, right? If we lose, then it's still down to us to beat Apollon on the final game. We didn't want to go into that game. But I remember doing a video before the game saying, look, beat AEK, right? And it's in Apollon's hands. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's up to them to beat us on the final day. But as I said before, we beat AEK, right? I'm sure Apollon knew the score at halftime when they went in. I think it was 1-0. No, it was 0-0 at the time. Was it 0-0 or were they winning 1-0? I think they were winning 1-0. No, it was 0-0 at halftime with Apollon and the Olympiacos.
Olympiacos, yeah.
I think it was 0-0 at the time.
Yeah.
So they obviously knew that we were winning, and they probably thought, fuck it, they're going to win the game. Because when they go a goal up, they never lose. They never end up losing.
And for some strange reason, that game always, there was a 6 to 8 minute difference between, even though we started at the same time, there was 6 to 8 minutes behind our game. Because if
they got 7 minutes injury time there. They gave him 7 minutes.
Sorry about that. I just had to say it because I don't think that happens in any other country in the world, man. You know, a game that starts at the same time ends like 8 minutes later.
Yeah, we had this cuvenda before about Apollon. It was like play until Apollon score. And that's what it was. Yeah, and they played for 7 minutes and they couldn't score. And that's it. Game over. Title's done. Title came back to where it belongs. So we played them on the final day of the season, rest a few players, lift the Tropea. Beautiful.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
There you go. And there you go. So, yeah, man, that was the season review in a nutshell, man. Yeah. Very quickly, because we better wrap it up because people are going to start getting bored now. We've been doing this for like over an hour, man. Do you want to? What would you say was your favorite goal of the season?
Okay, if we're adding the European game, obviously Jordi's goal against Eindhoven at home is not only it's a contender for goal of the season, not just in Cyprus. Like for the Europa League, I can't think of any better goal being scored. If we're talking about the Prodathlima here in Cyprus, I can think of 4 goals on top of my head now. So the first one was Kiko's free kick against AEK. Then it was Thiago's equalizer against Apollon, Kusu's rocket against Olympiacos, and Eric's goal against Tael when he equalized. And then so these 4 goals. I mean, I'm sorry if I can't remember any other goals. I'm pretty sure we scored some other goals. I think Thiago scored another couple of nice goals. Ernest might have scored some nice ones, but I'm thinking
Ernest won at AEK, the 3-0 where he's putting his left foot and putting the top corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there you go. If we're talking about 5, then those are my 5 contenders.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we put it to the viewers? Why don't they put their favorite goal in the comments, and then we'll take it from there, yeah?
Yeah. Sure.
That's lovely. There you go. So, our season review is done. Thank you for tuning in. We've got more shows coming in the future. Roy, end the show, Filemo.
Yeah. We're going to have a guest coming up soon. That's going to be quite interesting, I think. So keep your eyes open, subscribe, press that button to get the notifications, because so there's still a lot more to come, and we're going to need your contribution and your ideas about what you want us to do. Don't forget that a couple of days is your last opportunity to support Maria, and we're going to have the raffle for the Wolves t-shirt and the Davidson one. Also, we've got the giveaway from Thiago, who was kind enough to give us a shirt to give out to you guys. And generally, just keep your eyes open and your ears open, because to keep you company throughout the summer. And πάμε σιλάκα μου, Ομόνοια λαός, πρωτάθλημα, γκύπελλον, Ευρώπη, ούλα πάμε. Είμαι πελαμένος.
Η Ομόνοια Λευκοσίας είναι η πρωταθλήτρια Κύπρου για την αγωνιστική περίοδο 2020-2021. Συγχαρητήρια, και νομίζω ότι ήχος και εικόνα μόνο από τους πρωταθλητές αυτό αξίζει να γίνει αυτή τη στιγμή. Απολαύστε τους.